Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for yet more dedicated legacy action. Today I am playing Squirrel Stompy. That's right, Squirrel Stompy. Essentially this deck is somewhat similar to the sort of mono-red Stompy lists that run like the Rabble Masters and things. So we got our Chalice of the Voids and our Trinisphere, and we got our Spirit Guides and our Chrome Moxes and all the Soul Lands. However, that's where we part ways. So the aim of this deck is a little bit different. So we want to cast this card called Chittersplitter, which says at the beginning of your upkeep you may sacrifice a token. If you do, put an acorn counter on this permanent. Squirrels you control get +1/+1 for each acorn counter on it, and you can pay green and tap it to make a 1/1 squirrel. So basically this is an engine all on its own, so every turn that goes by you're either pumping your whole team or making another guy. Now that's okay, but it's not incredible. Now let's have a look at Chatterfang himself. So Chatterfang is a 3-mana 3/3 Forest Walker. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens you get that many tokens plus a 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens instead. And you can do a thing by sacrificing squirrels, which we're not going to get to here. But what this does is anytime your deck would produce a token, you also get a 1/1 green squirrel. So that means Chittersplitter is creating 2 tokens every turn if you have Chittersplitter in play. So what else are we pairing with this Chatterfang nonsense here? Well, we have Tireless Tracker, which is a 3-drop that we can cast on turn 1, since our deck is very well designed to cast 3 drops on turn 1. That's kind of the whole point. What it does is whenever you play a land, you get a clue token. So when that token comes into play, you will also get a squirrel if you have Chatterfang in play. And then you can also sacrifice your clues to pump your tracker and draw cards, which is just a nice little draw engine anyway. And then we've got some other cards. So we've got this Essica's Chariot, a bit of a standard all-star. 4-mana 4/4 vehicle. When it comes into play, you get 2 green cat tokens. So if you have Chatterfang in play, you also get a squirrel. Yeah, you can kind of see where we're going with this. This card is also just a card that takes over the game and wins pretty quickly on its own anyway. And sometimes you might end up cloning squirrel tokens instead of cat tokens, but this is just a card that can hopefully just win us the game on its own. Then we have Garruk Relentless, because we kind of need a little bit of removal. So we've got 3 of these bad boys. What this guy does is he comes in with 3 loyalty, and for 0 loyalty you can make a 2/2 wolf creature token, which will also make us a squirrel if we have Chatterfang out. But then also you can 0 and then he basically fights something, and if he's still alive he flips and then can start churning out 1/1 death touch wolf tokens, which give us more squirrels, and then you can use it to tutor for creatures, and then you can also use it to do a big overrun later on. So that's kind of like the removal suite. Then we've just got this Elder Gargaroth to top the curve off in case we need like a big fatty. This can gain us life, it can draw us cards, it can make creature tokens that then will hopefully get us more stuff. So you get the gist here. We're trying to make a bunch of tokens after sort of locking our opponent out of the game with Chalice of the Void and Trinisphere. Because we don't get to run Blood Moon in this deck, we are sort of in a bit more on the sort of chittery squirrels plan, but I think it should be fun. I don't think it's going to be as good as any sort of red Stompy deck by any stretch of the imagination, but it will definitely be more interesting and more fun. We also have 4 Endurance because we're playing a green deck and Endurance is a very strong card. Just a few little comments about the mana base. We've got Yavimaya, which can hopefully make us have these Ancient Tombs tap for mana without hurting us. We have Lair of the Hydra as a man land, which is, if we're going to have a bunch of mana, which hopefully we should, we can make a relatively big creature to attack with and hopefully win that way. And we have Turn Timber Symbiosis, which has a lot of creatures it can find for us, which is nice. But also it's a green card that can pitch to Chrome Mox as well as being a land. Sideboard-wise, we're Monogreen, so we don't have the most exciting options. Force of Vigor being, a clear-cut favourite here. And Leyline of the Void, because you need something to really hammer the reanimated decks shut. Like, I don't think Endurance is enough against those decks. Endurance is great versus Delver, but against Reanimator, they just pick it out of your hand before going off. Song of the Dryads, which is an interesting one. So it's 3 mana, enchant permanent. Enchanted permanent is a colourless forest land. So you can, any problem permanent, you can put this on it and it will stop being a problem. It will just be a forest. And we have 4 chokes. So we don't have Blood Moons, but we do have chokes. So we have a nice little one-sided thing against all the blue decks that we can bring in when we can sort of take out maybe some of the cuter stuff here. But the main deck is just supposed to be good and efficient and does the things it does. So we're basically trying to Chalice of the Void or Trinisphere and then just play a bunch of threats and hopefully get that through. I did think about having Questing Beast in here, but I decided I wanted more things that make tokens, because if you're going to play like a cute, silly deck, you may as well lean into it as hard as you can. So let's try and Chittersplitter some people out. But before we jump into a league, if I could just do a little plug quickly, if you could just scroll down and hit the subscribe button, it doesn't cost you a penny and it really helps me out. All right, let's jump into a league with this pile of green cards. All right, we're into round 1, and we can make a Chalice for 1 on turn 1, and then we can follow it up with a Tireless Tracker. We do have more Chromox than we like, but we can just make permanent Elvish Spirit Guides. So I think this is the sort of hand that we have to keep. The Tireless Tracker is a little bit annoying when our first land is a City of Traitors, but we will hopefully get there. So let's keep. So there is an option of maybe playing out the Tireless Tracker. We can't play out the Tireless Tracker without using all of our mana things, really. So I think we just do the tried and tested Chalice of the Void for 1 on turn 1. Okay. I think we will play out one of these Chrome Moxes now. We don't need to play them both out. So the Spirit Guide gets upgraded to a permanent mana source here. And that'll do. So the plan is maybe draw a land next turn so we can make a tracker, or we can draw one of the many things that our deck can do aside from that. Ancient Tomb. Okay, so we're on some sort of Ancient Tomb mirrors. So this could be the Epic Gamble. It could be... This is looking more like the Epic Gamble. It could be the Karn deck. Simon's Spirit Guide. Okay. Much more like the Epic Gamble now. Let's see. Harrenfell. Yep, sure. That screams the Epic Gamble to me. I suppose it could be one of the... Okay, so the Relay is done now. I don't think the Ruby Storm deck runs Relay necessarily. Could be wrong. What's our opponent got here? So they don't have any mana floating. They only have one card in hand here. So this Chromox can do nothing unless they pitch the card in hand, but they already have Metalcraft because of this. So if they've got a red card in hand, they can at least put some mana into this Mox. What was that? Shatter Skull Smashing. So they can cast Burning Wish this turn. But that's going to be about where they end up. This will give us a little bit of information about the build, because they could be getting an Echo of Eons here. But they'll need another blue source to cast it. Unless they rip the LED, which I have to assume is a card in their deck. Echo of Eons, yep, so they have the Echo of Eons here. Not that it's going to make a huge difference to what we do on our turn. So if we draw a Chalice here, we can do a Chalice for 0. That would be nice. So I think we make our tracker. Play this. Get ourselves Clue Token. And we will crack this straight away. This will give us the chance of drawing a Chalice for 0. Chittersplitter. Okay, so I know what we're doing next turn at least. It's also important to note this is a green card, but it's an artifact, so it can't go under a Chrome Mox for future reference. This Chittersplitter not looking like a particularly fast clock against what our opponent's doing, but we might be able to grow this another point of power next turn. We shall see. So the thing about Harrenfell that's quite good for them is it means that all their 1-drops just get put straight through to the Horn. So they at least get to be something. So they might not be Rite of Flames anymore, but they can still be draw 2 cards, which is quite a powerful effect. So also this says discard a card, so there's the discard outlet there. So we're going to be drawing some mana here. Is there any point in me floating a Spirit Guide? Do I want to draw a Spirit Guide? I don't think I do. So we'll float this. This will exile it so it doesn't go in the pile of things I can draw. So our opponent has to really win this turn, otherwise we lock out 0-drops for them as well. Or we could lock out 2-drops. And they can't really Burning Wish for anything then. So basically our opponent has to win this turn, but they do have many, many cards because of the Harrenfell Horn. It's a shame we didn't get a turn 1 Trinisphere this game. We'll see what we have available to us if we get another turn. So got a Gamble they can't cast. They've got a 0-drop here. They've been pretty unlucky here hitting the triple grids. The Echo they can cast because LED doesn't make them discard the cards from exile, but they will still need some more mana for this at present. So they've got 1 mana, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they'd have to have a red card in hand for the Chrome Mox to get enough to cast this Echo of Eons and go again. So there's the Lion's Eye Diamond, the Mox Opal. Yep, so they've got 6 mana here. Now, right, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they can do a Echo Vions, which would be better than the previous one because there won't be any defense grids in their deck to draw into. And there's a lot of 1-drops that are exiled here. So it should be a better ride for them. Okay, got a bit of movement. Looks like they're going for the Echo finally. Oh no, they're playing a Burgie. Interesting. So this Chromox, even if they don't imprint it, it's still going to add a mana. And they had a Lotus Petal in hand. So I give them up to 2 mana, 3 mana, and then they can crack the LED to Echo Vions and leave a red floating. Yep, so there's the Echo Vions. So we're going to lose our hand again. We could have exiled the Spirit Guide first then. So they're playing Lion's Eye Diamond. So they've got another Echo, they can wheel with it. So they got 10, so they've got enough now that they can cast the Burning Wish in exile and go and get the Tendrils of Agony. So they should have it now. Sure. Lotus Petal. It's up to Storm 11 now. So they don't necessarily need to keep going here. But maybe they're trying to keep going so that they can at least Galvanic Relay as well as Burning Wish Tendrils this turn in case something goes wrong, which is understandable. Okay, so they're just going to their next step so that the green mana I had floating goes away. They have not fizzled here. They're just playing around the little mana I had up. Yep, so Lotus Petal. Lion's Eye Diamond. Yep, there's the black mana. Now they're going to cast the Burning Wish. Go and get themselves the Tendrils. And we'll scoop it up once they show us the Tendrils. There it is. Okay, so if we'd have played our Chalice with 0, we'd have been A-OK. So there's a bunch of cards that have text in this matchup. Force of Vigor, for any past turns they have, is very good. Lay on the Void completely bricks their ability to do the wheels. So we probably just want to get rid of some of our less exciting threats for these things. So how does this look? That looks pretty clean, doesn't it? We just maintain all of these 3-drops because they're easier to cast. That's the reason we're choosing them there. So we want to, because we might have to mulligan to a little bit of hate piece, so we'd rather have the threats that are slightly easier to cast. Although endurance does cost double green, so it's not always easier, but we might be able to snag something with a. So if they discard to Horn of Harnfell, I can then endurance in response to that and clean up the Echo Vions from the graveyard. So we're going to submit like this and just try and cast Chalice and Trinisphere on turn 1. So this shuts off one of the things but doesn't really go anywhere, so I think we mulligan this one. What does this hand do? It has a Force of Vigor, which could prove useful. Really needs a lock piece, is the issue. I don't think Force of Vigor is enough. Okay, so this hand makes a turn 1 Trinisphere, so we can keep this one. So we need to keep City of Traitors, Chromox. So we need to put one of these things back. 2 of these things back. So we probably get rid of this one and the Endurance. Precisely because they're going to have to play our artifacts to get above the Trinisphere at some point, and then I can Force of Vigor that. Hard casting it. So it is awkward that it's a City of Traitors and not an Ancient Tomb, but sometimes them's be the breaks. Okay, so let's Chromox on the go. Turn Timber Symbiosis in. It does mean that we can cast all of our threats because we've boarded out all the 4 mana threats. So our opponent won't be able to cast any spells for quite some time here. Like, we might, if we draw a threat, we might just be able to kill them before they ever get to cast a spell under the Trinisphere. Ancient Tomb's a good start for them, though. But they don't have an awful lot of lands, so they're relying on 0-drops. Laying on the Void that we can't cast. Sure. We will just pass. Okay, so they have a mana to play above the Trinisphere now. They can play 1 spell a turn at present, but they'll be taking 4 damage for it. So the hope here is to snag an artifact or 2 with the Force of Vigor. A Grim Monolith. Sure. So this can then cast a Lion's Eye Diamond or something, and then later they can use the mana to untap the Grim Monolith. if they don't think I'm presenting them a clock, that's a fine thing to do. However, we have drawn a clock. So there is an option here of using this Force of Vigor, but I think like it would still cost us 3 mana to do, and we're only getting 1 permanent. I think we're best off just playing the tracker. And then we can at least have a threat on the board. I don't think our opponent, with their current board state, is going to kill us next turn. They will need a red source to go and get an answer to Trinisphere, most likely. So Pulverize, they can't have because they haven't got the mountains, but they probably have some sort of artifact destruction. There's plenty of options they can use. Meltdown or something like that. Which would be pretty bad for us since half of our permanents are artifacts. Okay, our opponent's got another mana. So they are well above this Trinisphere right now. Doesn't necessarily mean they've got enough to win the game through it though. A Chromox. Just a 3 mana rock there. So the plan is for us to draw a green source or a green card, and then we blow up their 2 artifacts. So this could be a Burgie. 7 mana. Interesting. Okay, so they've got the Harrenfell. So we can blow this up if we draw a green card or a green source, which is relatively odds on, but alas was not the case. So we could be in a little spot of bother soon. They have taken a big chunk out of their own life total though. I think if we'd have drawn the green source or green card then we probably can bury them. But we have a 3-turn clock that gets shut off. Every time they tap these lands, takes a turn off. So they don't have long to try and win the game. It's going to be a Burgie. Yeah, so this can block, which is a little bit of an issue for us. An Endurance. So I'm going to cast this. And what are we hitting here? We definitely hit the Harrenfell. The question is, do we get rid of their red mana here? I think we probably attack first, actually. And then if the Burgie trades, the Burgie's probably going to trade off here. Which means if they do, then I'll hit the Chromox because that'll reduce their red mana pips. Okay, they did not trade off with the Burgie. Interesting. So now I think we do cast this. And this will put them to 2 if they untap this. So would I rather them have more mana or red mana? That's an interesting shout. I think I probably do hit the red source. And oh wait, no, I have to do this in their upkeep, don't I? Because I'm casting it for 3 mana through my own Trinisphere here. If they untap the Grim Monolith, then I can blow the Grim Monolith up. And that'll be really irritating for them. So we'll hit this and we'll hit this. And we'll pay 2, 3. We'll exile this green card. Not really how we drew it up, but it's something, isn't it? I don't know what they can really cast in their upkeep, but what they can do is they can pitch the cards in their hand. So they have a Wish available to them, and they pitch 2 Echo of Eons. Interesting. And the Echoing Truth has been pitched, which is one of the ways they can get around the Trinisphere. Oh, sorry, that isn't been pitched. It's available to them if they have blue mana sources. So they can pay 3 mana to play a Lotus Petal, use a Lotus Petal to cast Echoing Truth. But they'll probably have to do that at my end of turn. I don't necessarily think they're going to be able to go off if they've spent 6 mana doing that. Okay. So they still have 1 card in hand and they haven't drawn for turn. They're going to have 6 mana in their main step. They can play the Ancient Tomb, but they can't activate 3 Ancient Tombs right now. So the Ancient Tomb is basically dead right now. Okay, so there's the Lion's Eye Diamond. This on its own is enough to cast the Echoing Truth. Yeah, so there's the mana for that. They can cast the Echo of Eons from the graveyard as well. Okay, so they're wishing. So we don't get to see what it is. They can just play 1 card from their exile zone, from their sideboard, or exile zone, I suppose, until the end of the turn. The problem they find themselves in here is that if they cast the Echoing Truth and bounce the Trinisphere, they don't have enough mana to spin. No, they will have enough mana to spin the Echo, right? Because they're going to get one off the Bergie for doing that. So I think they can win this turn if they see that line. Like they're not going to cast the Echo in Truth, right? And they get an additional mana off the Lotus Pearl afterwards. Just use blue, colourless to Echoing Truth. Oh, a Shattering Spree. Okay. Not sure they needed to use their wish for that, really. But now they can play out the Lotus Petal and Echo Vions. And they might be able to kill us this turn. We did what we could. Kind of needed a Chalice or an earlier threat. Because obviously they're only on 2 lives. If we'd have had an earlier threat, they wouldn't have been able to tap all their mana. But we missed them a few turns. If we can survive this turn, like if they end up in a Galvanic Relay turn, I think we'll be okay here. So you can Chalice for 0 and Trinisphere. Our opponent has a lot of cards and they have a Bergie in play, so it seems relatively likely they can go off and just get us here. What are we on? Storm 7. So I don't need many more spells here. Storm 8. So if they have a wish now, they can. They need a second black for Tendrils. So they might force them into a Galvanic Relay line. Okay, so there's the second black. So they just need a wish now. Lines like diamond. Okay, we might be going for another draw 7 here instead. Chrome Mox. What they can also do is they can use Echoing Truth on their own Bergie, flip it into a Horn of Harrenfell so they can get more cards with it once they've sort of crossed the Mariner barrier of how much mana they need. Empty the Warrens. Interesting. That was an interesting one. There's a lot of goblins. It's going to be lethal pretty quickly. Question is, how do we beat all these goblins? I'm not sure we do. And a bonus gamble for an Echo. Okay, they're still going, so they might even kill us this turn, right? They're just going to put a Echo Vions in their graveyard straight away. They're going to spin the wheel again. And if they find a wish effect, then they get to kill us this turn. I think we are dead. There is a potential fail rate here. I need to turn off the auto yields though. I think we let them get this one in and then try and hit this and the lines like diamond on the same turn. With the same force of vigor. Like we are 99% dead. Let's hit this and let's hit this. And we'll pitch Turn Timber because this can be a blocker at least. So this will incentivize them to maybe pitch all the cards in their hand and then crack the lines like diamond. If they have a wish in hand, that's bad for them. But if they have a wish in hand, they should just cast it, right? So they shouldn't have a wish in hand right now. If they have, then it's a mistake. Oh, they did have a wish in hand. Okay, so that was just a mistake. You don't let me have priority there. You just go and get your win condition. Like, the Epic Gambles are quite a complicated deck, so it's not unheard of to see people make little errors here and there with it. But I don't think that error is going to make any difference to the outcome of this game, but it's just a little bit where you can sort of clean up your play. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about playing the Epic Gamble, keep in mind things like that, because obviously if you need the mana from the lines like diamond, you need to play the spell that you're playing with it straight away. Like they have Lethal Storm, so they had the win in hand but decided to play Harrenfell instead. They can just play the Burning Wish now. Cast the Burning Wish. There we go. It didn't need to take that long, but there it is. Alright, so we didn't win that one unfortunately, even though our deck should be relatively good against this because we're a bit prisony, but the Epic Gamble is better than Squirrel Stompy as a general rule, I would say. Anyway, let's go into round 2. We're on the draw here. We can keep this. We can make a Chalice on 1, and then we can make a Tireless Tracker and a land drop on turn 2 to get the clue straight away. So that's pretty good. Thoughtseize. Okay, they're going to see what we're working with. They're probably going to take our Chalice of the Void here, which means we're just going to make a Tireless Tracker on 1, I think. But we'll see. So, an Underground Sea into Thoughtseize makes me suspect that our opponent is playing Doomsday. Now, they could be playing Death Shadow and just happen to draw the Underground Sea, but I suspect they are playing Doomsday. which means that this is a good draw. So I think we got the Tomb, got the Chrome Mox, upgrade the Spirit Guide to a permanent mana source, cast our creature, and then we say go. So the Tidus Tracker is going to be good here if it is Doomsday, purely for the fact that it can be a massive clock. Okay, a Ponder. That's good for us. This could also be like Ad Nauseam Tendrils, which I don't think is a particularly optimal Storm list, but it's been doing well. Okay, Wasteland. That screams to me Death Shadow. Interesting. And the Snuff Out to go with it. Sure. So we have an Ancient Tomb here, but we can't actually do anything with it. So we're just going to play this out first, and then we can play the Garruk next turn off an Ancient Tomb. Yep, so this is definitely a Death Shadow deck now. They just happen to draw their Underground Sea. They usually have 2-ish Underground Seas in their lists. Most of the time they're getting Watery Grave, like this. So they can cast a Death Shadow now. We're kind of incentivized to play out an Endurance soon for the purposes of Murktide Regent. So I think I'm probably going to play the Endurance this turn rather than the Garruk, because you want to be able to get rid of the graveyard. Now we could always pitch it now in case they're going to play a Gurmag Angler, but most of them play Murktide instead. So this comes in untapped, and we get to play our Endurance. Now, we could have played the Ancient Tomb and given ourselves mana to play around Days, which I'm kind of regretting not doing now. Let's see if I'm punished for that. Yeah, so there's the Days. So I just completely punted that one, which is very embarrassing. So they're probably gonna play a Murktide Regent and kill us now. A Ponder. Okay, so we're not getting Murktide Regent this turn. So back in the day, the old Death Shadow decks used to have a turn 1 threat and Delver of Secrets they played. They've kind of just got rid of that now, and they're sort of like a mid-rangey, almost combo-y like deck, which is, I don't know, it just feels, you've got all these tempo tools like Wasteland and Days. It just seems odd to me that you wouldn't want to try and capitalize on that. Chatterfang the Squirrel. I think we can save that little lad till next turn. I think we play this guy out first, because this is going to be hard for him to answer. So it'll probably require a force of will to answer this Garruk. So I've got the mana open for Days this turn. So I should have kept open last turn. Yeah, so there's a force of will. Pitching Stubborn Denial. So next turn, we're in Chatterfang country. There's a Wasteland, so we're probably losing our Tomb this turn. No, they're getting rid of our Manland because their life total is 8. They got Death Shadow finally. An Angler. That's not so bad. Lair of the Hydra. So we'll cast Chatterfang. The Squirrel General. They do not have any forests though. So we have to take the 5 this turn. And then hopefully we can find a token producer this turn. So Esca's Chariot, or another Garruk, or Elder Gargoth can block this. Or we can have the Chittersplitter. Chrome Mox is not it. So I think we just attack with this. And we hold back the Lair of the Hydra just in case we need to chump with it. Because we wouldn't have enough lethal this turn. But they might not attack us because I'm presenting lethal on the backswing. Unless they have a way of dealing with our Lair of the Hydra. There we go. Chitterfang holding them back on blocks. Nice. And Endurance. Okay, we definitely cast the Endurance here. We want to main phase it so that our opponent can't tap and play another massive land. So if they don't play another creature next turn, then we can attack with 3 threats, and if 2 of them hit, they die. So we might have navigated this one. Our opponent's only down to 3 cards, and they have no graveyard to make additional anglers with. Let's see. They can have removal spells here, but Snuff Out is not good enough. It has to be Fetch Land, Fatal Push or something. Could be Brazen Borrower though. Okay, so I think we play this out. And then we activate this. So if we pay 1, 2 and green, that'll make it a 2/2. That means we don't have enough mana to play the Endurance if we do this. So I think we just go all in on this one. Street Wraith. That's a bold play. It clearly means they don't have anything in hand. Sure. So managed to get the game 1 against Death Shadow. Choke is going to be very good against them. Lane on the Void can be okay, but I don't think it's worth boarding in. Song of the Dryads can kill some of their creatures. Now the rest of what we're doing here looks pretty alright, to be honest. Trying to think, like the Gargaroths here are going to be bigger than some of their creatures, so that's nice. Song of the Dryads can deal with some of their scary things. Garruk isn't able to kill anything, so I don't think that's worth having. And then I think we're like trimming on some of these. So I think Tireless Tracker is probably the one that goes here, because having tokens against them is going to be really strong. So we're going to submit like this and see if we can Chittersplitter our way to victory. Our opening hand, it does literal nothing, so we're going to Monogreen. We can keep this. This gives us turn 1 Chrome Mox, turn 2 Choke. Turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Choke. Is it worth keeping hold of the Chrome Mox? Because it can't be wastelanded, and it means we get to play around days on turn 1. I think that means it is worthwhile. Does that mean we want the Lair of the Hydra or the Yavimaya? Probably want the Yavimaya. No. Yes, the Yavimaya is probably better here. Like, a Thoughtseize is going to be pretty good against us here. But I don't think mulliganing is going to make us better against Thoughtseize. So let's see what our opponent does here. They might ponder. Ponder. Okay, this is good for us. So turn 1 Chalice for 1, which is very hard for Death Shadow decks to beat. They brought in Powder Keg for it. That's how much of an issue it is. They're probably just going to Force of Will it, but that's a 2 for 1, so I didn't mind that. Chittersplitter. Oh, okay, maybe we can do it. So we play out this first. We play out the Chrome Mox. And we put in the 10 Timber Symbiosis. We Chalice for 2. And we cast a Chalice for 1. You got Force of Will? Or is this game over? Or you can have a Powder Keg in hand, I suppose. They do not have a Force of Will in hand. Wowzers. Okay, cool. Next turn we can play Choke, or we can play Chittersplitter. I think I'd rather play the Chittersplitter and start getting on board, and then play the Choke once they have more lands to tap down, perhaps. But we'll see what our opponent plays first. If they tap out this turn, then I'm very much pushed into choking, I think. Okay, so I think we go 1, 2, 3. Make a Chittersplitter. Our opponent will probably not be very happy if they get beaten by Chittersplitter. Let me say go. We make a token of their end step. Just Brazen Borrower. Yep, so there's the Petty Theft. Sure. So next turn we can play the Chalice back again anyway. A Thoughtseize. You're going to see 2 Chalice of the Voids here, I'm afraid. And a Choke. They might even take the Choke here. Yeah, they've taken the Choke. They might have another Thoughtseize, but I don't think that really helps me. I think they need to put a threat on board right now. Yep, there's a threat on board. And there's another threat on board. Okay. So they're cooking with gas over there. Let's create a squirrel token. I would not like to sacrifice a guy. Another Chittersplitter. That was an interesting one. I think we Chalice for 1 this turn. Like, we are very susceptible here to them just playing the Brazen Borrower, which is not ideal for us. So we'll see how we do. We might need to chump block here. I'm not sure if we need to block both of them or not. So we take 6 this turn. I think we do have to block them both. If we draw a green source, we can fog 2 at a turn. If we draw Chatterfang, we can do 2. Song of the Dryad. Okay, so this should... Okay, so it's hitting our green source. And they can still cast the Brazen Borrower here. So I think we're going to lose this game. It's almost like Chittersplitter isn't the most powerful thing you can be doing in Legacy. 6, 7, 8, 9. Yikes. Let's cast this. I think the Brazen Borrower is going to be the difference here. So go. They cast a Borrower. Then they attack and they get 9 damage through this turn. Possibly more if they have a way of hurting themselves. And there's a snuff out. Yeah, so we're just dead there. Sure. We'll go back to game 3, where I get to be on the play. I don't think there was anything wrong with the way I was sideboarding there. I think that was all makes sense. And we just submit. Like, we could remove these Chittersplitters in favour for Tireless Trackers, but if we can get the Chittersplitter up and running early enough, like if they only had one Death Shadow there, I think we might be okay for a while. But I think we keep like this. So this hand doesn't really do anything. We need to mulligan and have some sort of turn 1 play. This has turn 1 Chittersplitter, which will probably get counterspelled. But like, I came here to Chittersplitter, right? So that's what I'm going to do. One of these has to go on the bottom. I think it should probably be the Gargaroth. And the plan here is City of Traitors, Mox, put this turn Timber Symbiosis under the Mox. Or it could be the Endurance, actually. I think it's probably the Endurance here. Because then at least we have another land if we need it. Turn 1, Chittersplitter. The OP legacy play. We got a Force of Will off of it, though. And what do they pitch? A Murktide Regents. That's not a bad hit. And I don't feel so bad about binning the Endurance off either. So if we draw a mana source... Well, we have the mana source, actually. We can just cast Esca's Chariot. But they might be able to daze us is the issue. Okay, so we're getting Thought Seized here. So we're going to lose the Chariot. They could take the Symbiosis and then Wasteland us next turn, which is something we should watch out for. Okay. But, okay. So we have a turn Timber Symbiosis, which if we cast, we will lose our City of Traitors. So we just have to say go. So this isn't spectacular for us by any stretch of the imagination. Firing off another Thought Seize. Sure. They can take our other turn Timber Symbiosis. So to draw a card here. It does something. Okay, so they've got the Death Shadow pretty early here. That's a little awkward for us. Elvish Spirit Guide. Like, we can cast it. I think we probably do cast it, right? It forces them to hurt themselves more for the Death Shadow, and it also gives us a chump block at some point if we need it. Sure, so this has now got more life. They've now lost more life, so we don't want to block this turn. Preordained, sure. There's a Wasteland. So there goes our City of Traitors. We are not blocking this turn. Now they could cast Dress Down and hit us for 13. But it doesn't look like they do. Sure, so there goes our land. So we are pretty much out of this game, I think. A choke that we can't cast. Let's play this. I would not like to pay 3 life. So we can attack for 2 this turn. Because we're on 14, so they can't kill us in one swing. But is this a turn we have to block? I don't think we block this turn. We block next turn. This could be wrong. Murktide Regent, by the looks of it. Sure. I think we are just dead here. The Chittersplitter was not very powerful in game 2. And then they have this card that should be banned. Cool, cool, cool. I think we are dead zones. We have a Chittersplitter we can't cast. I think we just concede this game. We can go to 1 on our next turn, but I don't know how we recover from there. So I think we just concede. So we did not get there, unfortunately. So we have to go... We're 0-2 going into round 3 now. So this opening hand doesn't do anything for quite some time, so we have to mulligan this one. I came to Chatterfang, I guess, right? I guess we keep this one and we get rid of all our Chatterfangs. I suspect this hand is not very good, but I'm going to keep it. Once upon a time. Sure. Birds of Paradise. This is Elves or Maverick, most likely. It could be the new sort of Fiend Artisan Elves, which is why I say, even though it's a bird rather than an elf. My 3/3 Forest Walker looks pretty good here, actually. So I think... Oh, I hate playing out... Why do I keep drawing City of Traitors? That's the real question. Okay, so we'll exile this for a green. And cast this. Boom, get Chatterfanged. So if we draw a Chrome Mox or a Spirit Guide, we can play Tireless Tracker and then make a Clue and a Squirrel. This creature has never been blocked, so if our opponent's doing fair things, we're okay. Fiend Artisan, that's relatively fair. I've not personally got on with these green Fiend Artisan decks much when I've played them. But Elvish Reclaimer, on the other hand, is a fine card. Let's see what we're doing. Like, we're definitely able to cast the Tireless Tracker this turn, but we might be able to get a clue out of it as well. We did not get a clue out of it. That is a little bit annoying. So we'll tap this for 2. And we will attack with my Forest Walker. And then it's our opponent's turn. A Savannah. It's interesting to wonder how deep the Elvish Reclaimer package goes. Does it go all the way to Thespin Stage Dark Depths, or is it just for things like Cradle? This could just be a natural order though. Yeah, sure. So when I played the Fiend Artisan deck like this, it was generally my experience that the natural order was the only real thing in the deck that felt good at any point. Okay, so we're not doing well here. Let's play this and get a guy and a token. Yeah, I think we cast this Chromox. We imprint the Chatterfang since we got spare. I think we probably sacrifice this, get ourselves a slightly bigger guy. So if our opponent's got Sajiri Step, we are dead next turn in their deck, which seems a possibility. Okay, I guess they didn't have a Sajiri Step in their deck, just because they are pitching Mother of Runes. Okay, so that's how they're going to get us next turn, is it? And this turn they're going to kill one of my squirrels. No? Interesting. How do we deal with the Mother of Runes is the question. I don't think we can deal with the Mother of the Runes. We can't force them into blocking here. They're just going to push through damage. I think we're dead. Let's just concede. Alright. Songs of the Dryad seems okay here. Land of the Void has text, but not a lot of text. Our like sort of mid-rangey beaters are probably going to be better than theirs. The tracker seems okay. I think we just trim one of each of our 3 drops here. Is that right? Yeah, that's probably fine. So this gives us no turn 1 play and a turn 2 Trinosphere when our opponent gets to play a Mana Dork on turn 1. I don't think we can keep this. This has a turn 1 Chalice, but then my lands disappear. But turn 1 Chalice is going to be reasonable against our opponent, so I think we can keep this. And we probably bottom the Turn Timber here. Hate drawing City of Traders instead of Ancient Tomb. But every time. Alright, so let's play this Chalice for 1. This will mean our opponent doesn't have a turn 1 play. Now, we don't have a turn 2 play to follow that up. And we have Endurance in our deck instead of being a red deck with Furion, where you just be able to clown on all their little guys. So this probably gets a Dryad Arbor for them this turn. Okay, so this is fine. So we got Trinosphere as well. Whether this is going to be good or not, I do not know. But it means our opponent doesn't have a turn 1 play or a turn 2 play. What they can do is they can get Dryad Arbor and slowly beat us down with it while we fumble around trying to cast a spell. Not a Dryad Arbor, interesting to me. I thought you just snap it off right there, since you're not casting any spells the next turn anyway. Alright, what do you got for us? Yavimaya, Cradle of Wraith. So this turn, I think we play this, and we do not pay the life. So our opponent gets to cast a creature of some description this turn, but then we get to Endurance and maybe catch it in combat if it attacks. And you're going to have to tap this for whatever you're playing, I'm afraid. Unless you're Besageing. There's your Fiend Artisan. Sure. So we can play Chittersplitter, but we can't make any tokens with it, so I'm just going to say go. A Fiend Artisan, sure. And a Cradle. Okay, this is Endurance's time to shine. You can have some lands in your deck. Now the fun begins. Ooh, Song of the Dryads Day. That's pretty good for us. I do want to Chittersplitter our opponent though. Let's go to attacks. So definitely playing this Yavimaya. We either turn this into a forest, which gives them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So they still only get to cast one spell next turn. Or I can start Chittersplittering. I think we probably just turn this into a forest, right? Get out of here, Fiend Artisan. Also, some of the drives does give you a forest for Forest Walk on your Chatterfang for matchups that aren't green decks. Not that that's necessarily amazing, but still. So this was effectively net neutral because the Cradle was tapping for 1 anyway. Because of it, so I don't mind turning that into a blank man. So I get to cast 1 spell this turn. Magus of the Moon. Okay. How does that interact with this, I wonder? Is a colourless forest. So is it now a mountain? I don't know, because it's not a basic land. Gargaroth. Okay, so if I can get another mana underneath me, this is going to be a good one. Let's play Chatterfang out. Our opponent must be thinking, what a load of rubbish. And they're not wrong, but we are playing Squirrel Stompy for the lols, so we may as well just enjoy what we have. Okay, so we get to make a 1/1 shortly. If we draw a land, we get to Chittersplitter. If we draw any spell on our deck, we get to cast it, apart from the other Elder Gargaroth. Collector Oof. Oof indeed. I guess we make a Squirrel token. So that's pretty sad for our Chittersplitter. What you got for us here? You don't have any green mana. So they're going to bash us for 2 here. We just let it through. We will not pitch to this, since we can't make any more squirrels right now. Oh, look at that. We had the combo all sewn up there. What a disaster. Let's come in with the endurance. Okay, they're putting that under the bus. Interesting. This Collector Roof is going to cause us problems. We can draw Garruk and kill it, and then get our Chittersplitter back online. And I think it's going to be very hard for us to lose. I guess we can just get natural ordered at some point. But getting Chittersplitter, Chatterfang online is going to be exciting. What do you got for us? They shouldn't be attacking into our 3/3 here. So we can turn this into a 4/4, but they can't block it anyway. I think I'd rather have my 1/1 just for a little bit longer, because we might be able to force them into a block here, or at least make them have to consider it, because they could double block my endurance, but I really don't want to kill this Magus of the Moon at the moment. I want to keep them off of green mana. A Chromox. That's not the one, is it? Let's go to attacks. Send in these clowns. Chump. They can always chump the endurance with their Magus if they want to get the Magus back online. Fortunately, we got nothing else here. Once upon a time again. So that's their green spell for turn. It's good for us. So we know about what we've got here. I need to draw a green source so I can cast my Gargaroth, which will then start making beasts which turn into squirrels. Or gain me additional squirrels. Okay, so they've got a second green source now, so they can cast a natural order from their hand, which is less good for us. Birds of Paradise. I'm sorry, I have a Chalice of the Void. So this turn our opponent has to block. Interesting. We're not blocking here. So they're chumping with the Magus rather than trying to trade off the endurance. Is there any reason I want to gain 4 to make this deal 4? I don't think so. Song of the Dryads. I don't hate this. If we put it on the Magus of the Moon, we can swing for the win. So, yes, I do not hate this. There we go. We managed to win a game, so that's something. I don't think there's any problems with the way we've sideboarded here. Maybe the Chatterfang is better than some of the other threats we have. But I think we're more just trying to curve into our 4-drops. I think that's where we really take the game over here. The Collector Roof is a little bit annoying for the purposes of Chittersplitter. We only have 3 in the deck now, so that's not so bad. The Chromox getting hit by thing is also a little bit annoying. So what does this hand do? It does nothing until turn 2. My turn too. I think we have to mulligan this. Oh, why is it always City of Traitors? So this hand makes a turn 2 Garrick. So I think we keep this. And what do we bottom here? Probably playing turn Timber. We're playing Forest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so I think we probably put the turn Timber away here. Yeah, so turn 2 Garrick. Let's see if that does anything. Like, chances are it'll kill something, which is nice. And then if we can follow it up with a Gargaroth, that would be pretty nice. So this is going to be a 1-drop Birds of Paradise. Okay, sure. That's a good 1-drop. Oh, no. Okay, so we play this out. We play out the Chrome Mox. Put the Endurance under it. And cast a Chalice for 1. That shuts off a number of their things, but obviously they were on the play, so it didn't shut off that turn 1 drop. And then we untap and we Garrett Relentless their Fiend Artisan, would they play maybe? Or that would be ideal for us. Let's cast this guy. So we can make a wolf here, or we can kill the bird. So I'm going to kill the bird. Doesn't flip my Garrick. We got here Opposition Agent. No. Endurance. Sure. So that's a little bit unfortunate for the poor little Garrick there. So maybe we should have made the token. Like, we do trade 1 for 1 with it, but it is birds for Garrick, which is not great. But again, if we draw a land and we play a Gargaroth, I think that should be able to do all the work. Fiend Artisan. Yeah, sure. So we lose our Garrick this turn. Sure. You can flip, but you're not on the battlefield. So, mana source here would be nice. Maybe we have to Garrick and kill the Fiend Artisan, which doesn't feel amazing, but that kind of lets them get away with so many things. Or we just slam this guy, because this guy is big. And it has Vigilance, so we can really go to town. Just start churning out 3/3s. And maybe make a Garrick to kill the Fiend Artisan here. But they did get 1 turn to kind of go wild here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So they can get a 4-drop. Like, they could have Ravenous Chupacabra. It's unlikely, but it's a card they can play and get with Fiend Artisan. And that would kill my Gargaroth. That would make me sad. I don't know if they have any Death Touches in there. They might have a Plague Engineer they can get just so they have Death Touch. Should be pretty good, although they don't know I have this Garrick, which will then kill it and then allow me to attack and make a beast. And they have to give up their endurance to do it. They can play a creature first and do it that way. So they have options, but it obviously depends what's in their hand and what's in their deck, to be honest. I imagine they have to have the Plague Engineer because they saw Chittersplitter. Okay, so our opponent is cracking a Verdant Catcoons. We had a Magic Online disconnect there, so that's why all the textures haven't loaded yet. Okay, so I have Dryad Arbor. It's tapped for 3. They can sack the Dryad Arbor with a Fiend Artisan to go and get the Plague Engineer. They might have something better. They should have something better, right? X is 4. Could be Ravenous Chupacabra. Sarah Paragon. Interesting. So they have 2 3/4s, so if they attack with my guy, it will trade off, which is not ideal. So we kind of need something here. And this Sarah Paragon, trading this Sarah Paragon off doesn't feel amazing for them. I think we are still attacking here. What do we want though? Do you want a beast or do you want a card? What are we looking to draw here? Another endurance would be great. A 3/3 looks really bad on this board, so I think we just have to draw a card. Song of the Dryads. I see. So they can put both of these in front of it and I only get to kill one of them. Okay, they put neither of them under it. Interesting. So I think we cast a Song of the Dryads. Probably on the Paragon. At least force them to sack actual creatures. At least we know they don't have a Ravenous Chupacabra in their deck. But I bet they wish they did have one. So there you go. There's some tech. If you're playing one of these Fiend Artisan decks, put a Ravenous Chupacabra in your deck. be able to tutor for a kill spell. Maybe a 4-mana kill spell, but I can't see why you wouldn't want one. Especially since you've got Cradle in your deck. Okay, so they're binning this off where X is 3. So this could be the Plague Engineer here. So they have a Death Touch guy, so I can't attack. Oh, it's a Grist. Okay, so they're gonna... Oh, they're just gonna create a guy. Interesting. Okay, well we're gonna kill that guy and then kill their Grist and make a beast or draw a card. Now, their Fiend Artisan is getting bigger every time, so that's a very real problem, but we'll deal with that soon. Okay, that deals with it. I think first we cast a Garruk and kill this, which lets us flip this, which can start getting Death Touch tokens from next turn. So then this guy will attack Grist, and we'll make a beast this turn, so that we can block the Garruk if they attack with a Fiend Artisan. And then turn after we can do the Song of the Dryads on it. Now, I could have just attacked through it anyway, and it has trample, but I need to keep creatures off the board to make Fiend Artisan worse. So I'm killing that anyway, so I may as well get my flip side of the Garruk and get my Death Touches, because Death Touch is going to be pretty good here until they get a, what do you call it? Plague Engineer. Endurance. So that's going to target nobody, I suspect. Oh, they're targeting me. Okay, that's fine. Targeting me? Yeah. Okay. So they're sacrificing... Oh, they're just natural ordering. Interesting. So where's this going to be? Like, whatever it is, I'm going to Songs of the Dryads it. Okay. So these guys are not lethal. So if they swing out here... 6, 7, 8, 9. So I don't have lethal on the backswing. 9... So I think we just take the 16 here. Sacrifice a creature. What does the backside of this do? Sacrifice a creature, search your library for a creature card. So I can search for endurance, but I need to cast the Songs of the Dryads at 10. So we cast this on this guy. That's step 1. Okay, we just got the concession there. So we are 1 and 2 with Squirrel Stompy. Not really the Squirrels winning us that game. It was more the other threats. But we still got the win, so I'll take it. This hand has turn 1 Chalice, but not a lot else. We're going to need some work to get up to Chips, but I think we have to mulligan this one. Well, this one doesn't get anywhere unless I draw a forest. If I draw a forest, it's great. But I don't think we can keep that one. Okay, this has Chalice into all sorts of things. I think we can keep this one. So 2 of these have got to go. So I think the card that wins the game the best on its own is a Chariot. So we probably do this and this. So we could just make a turn 1 Chariot, depending on what our opponent plays, actually. That might be enough to win a game. We'll see. A Bloodstained Mire. Uh-oh. We're just going to get reanimated pretty hard here, perhaps. Oh no. A Basic Mountain. A Skirk Prospector. Okay. I think I'm down to meow. Let's play this out. Let's go one of these. One of these. Cast this. Yes, I would like some cats. I've got cats now. What are you going to do about it? If I draw a mana source, I can make Chatterfang to then start making squirrels whenever I attack with the Chariot. And lots of creatures are good against them. Our opponent is probably quite confused as to what's just happened. But this is a very fluffy cat. The Horde Master. Sure. So they've kind of got the sort of combo of sacking guys for mana and cards at the same time. But do they have Chatterfang? Okay, so we don't have that. So the play here is make a Chalice for 1. It's not going to be amazing against them, but it's going to shut off some of their plays. And we're going to crew this. We're going to attack. Get ourselves a Pussycat. And crash for 4. Alright. Let's see how much damage our opponent can deal. They can take us off of our only land here, which feels like something that's worth doing. But whether or not they can just beat the Chariot on board remains to be seen. If they can play a guy that's got 2 power, that's probably going to be quite good for them. Okay, Matron isn't that. So this is probably going to go and get them Muxus or the inconspicuous Snoop? Muxus, sure. I don't think they're attacking here. It's forest maybe? Time to draw forest? A Trinisphere, you are not a forest. Let's crew this. Go to attacks. Send in the team. We'll copy this. So this is kind of a bit like a Rabble Master, right? After a fashion. So we need to hope our opponent's Muxus is not a good one. So they can cast Muxus this turn by sacking all their guys. The more guys they have, if they can play another land, yeah, so that's one less guy they have to sack, so they can leave the Prospector on board to maybe spin again. If the Muxus hits good. But they are only on 9. Okay, so this gives them 2 bodies, so this is basically free and lets them see more cards. So maybe they're not actually doing a Muxus turn just yet, they want to dig through their deck a bit and see how they go. So what are you getting off the Horde Master? A War Chief. Pretty good. And a Lackey. And a Wasteland that they can't play. And now they're just going to play the Muxus by sacking the Matron here. Yeah. Let's see what the Muxus spins. Pretty good. The Creator Maker is colourless permanent, so it can't destroy my green artifact, which is nice. But I'm going to lose one of my cats here. And they're probably going to sack some guys to give their Muxus haste by playing the War Chief. So we might be in trouble here. Because the Muxus can then crash in with all the pumps on it. But they have to sacrifice 3, so that's Creator Maker, Munitions Expert, and Matron for that. But they might find something else there. Well, they got Scope Prospector, Pile Driver, Pashalik Mons, so that's for like the combo to ping us out. Horde Master. There's the War Chief. They probably will stop here and just crash in for a big amount. 4, 5, 6. I can only hit them for 6 next turn. Unless I play 4 powers worth of guys somehow. Off of my single Ancient Tomb. So I think we are entering the in trouble stage of the game. They didn't attack. That's wild. Why would you not attack that? So we have this Esca's Chariot we can't cast. I think we have to say go here and just let our opponent have another turn. Until the end of your next turn. So they can cast all of these on this turn as well. That they're having. Now they can't cast the 1-drops because of Chalice. But they do still have a Pile Driver and a Pashalik Mons, which can do a lot of work for them. So we're just going to yield until here and see what our opponent has for us. Sure, they're sacking another guy. This is the Pashalik Mons, perhaps? Oh, they just got another Muxus. Yeah, that's usually pretty good. Just a Lackey. That was worse than their board was beforehand. Not sure how I actually win this game, though. That's the problem from my end. City of Traitors. Ugh. Like, if we can play that and Trinisphere, we're just going to get wastelanded pretty hard here. So I don't think we can even play out the city. Then we just pass the turn and let our opponent go to town on us again. Yield until here. Do your worst, Mr. Goblins. I have no idea why they weren't attacking with Muxus the turn before and just getting a massive chunk of damage in. Feels like they're just too intent on trying to win via the combo when they have the ability to just smash us in combat. Sure. So these all have haste. So you swing with everything. I guess you can keep your 1/1 Lord back. Interesting. So let's see how big the Muxus goes. So this is 40. So one of the guys has to go under the bus here. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and they ping us down for the rest. So I think we are dead, but let's just let them do the maths, I suppose. So they sack the Goblin Lackey, ping us for 1, and they do us 2, 4, 6, 8, and then they just need to sack 8 more goblins, 6 more goblins, 7 more goblins even. I think, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they should be able to sack all their guys and kill us here. So they can just sack them all here and kill us. So we can just concede there. Alright. What do we have on our sideboard for this? Kind of wish they were reanimated instead because they used to have these ley lines. Like, Song of the Dryads can be okay. It's our only real way of interfering with them. I don't know if it's good enough. Is that going to be good enough? Probably going to be better than Trackers, but it's going to be bad. Like, this is where this deck really falls down, I think, among other reasons. But so what do we got here? Okay, we can chalice for 1, and then we can make Garruk and kill any threats they play. This seems good. Seems more like what we want to do. And then we can Chittersplitter people eventually. This seems fine. So if they're playing Pyrokinesis, they can't actually kill Garruk with it, which is nice. So we might get a game here. Now, they might just Wasteland us, which would be sad. But they might not Wasteland us. If they Wasteland us, it's going to take more turns for them to do anything as well. But we'll see what they fancy. Okay, no Wasteland. That's very good for us. A City of Traitors. We don't need that yet. So we play this Lair of the Hydra. We cast this. We exile this. We tap this. And we get to start making some wolves. Create a 2/2 wolf creature token. Simple as. Just keep making wolves. You can fight your own wolves to flip your Garruk. But I don't really want to do that. I think just making 2/2 wolves is going to be relatively effective here. So they're making a Cavern of Souls. So they can cast this into the chalice here because of the cavern. But we do get to kill it. A Trinisphere. Interesting. Okay, so let's kill this and flip our Garruk. This doesn't exile and come back, it just flips. So I'm not going to be able to do any loyalty abilities this turn on the backside. So we have a choice here of playing Chittersplitter out or playing Trinisphere. Not sure what is the best play here. Probably the Trinisphere. But if we play the Chittersplitter out this turn, then we can start activating it next turn. And we can always sacrifice a creature and go and find the Squirrel Lord, Chatterfang, and then start doubling up our tokens. So Rishdam Port. A Matron. So this is probably going to go and get Trashmaster. One would have to imagine. Could get something else, but we'll see. Okay, they've just gone for the Horde Master. Interesting. That means I definitely want to be Trinisphere in this turn, because then they can't really combo off. What you got for us? A Trinisphere. Okay, so I guess we are Trinisphereing our opponent here. So, is there a creature we can get here that would be useful? I don't think there is. I think we just rumble with our wolf. Then we make another wolf. And then we take some damage to cast a Trinisphere. And then we say go. So maybe next turn we get Chatterfang. If we find a green source, then I think we can go and get the Chatterfang. Otherwise, I don't think it's worth doing. So this is going to be the... Oh, no, it's just another Matron. I thought it was going to be the Rundveld Horde Master, whatever he's called. That we know they've got in their hand. Let's put that out just so we don't forget. Amuxus. Okay. Making a guy. Do we want to sacrifice... I think we will. Sacrifice a token. I think we sacrifice a Death Touch Wolf here. And we make our guy bigger. And we draw for 10. Okay, so we did draw a green source. So... I think we... attack with the boys. And then we... probably sacrifice the wolf. Well, like, we could go get Elder Gargaroth. But we came here to Chitterfang. So let's Chitterfang. And we tap this and this to cast Chitterfang. We play this land. And we say go. And then we can make 2 2/2s with our Chitterfang. So this is quite a good combo here. Like, it's not legacy quality combo, but it's what we're doing. Yeah, so this can't be countered because of the mana. So they get to do that. Sure. Let's make some tokens. Do we want to sacrifice a guy here? I don't think we do. I think we're quite happy with the amount of guys we have. We could activate a response, I guess. But no, I think we're just going to... So what other creatures do we have? We have the Gargaroth that we can cast now. We have Endurance. Let me just have a look at my deck. Yeah, we don't have any interesting options of what to get with Garruk here. So I think what we do is we create this wolf token with Death Touch and get a squirrel. And we attack. Just attack with all creatures. Squirrels v Goblins, the classic battle off with the tribes. I didn't play the Ancient Tomb in case I can make my opponent maybe wasteland our Ancient Tomb there. Or spend time doing something else with it. Okay, so they're just going to cast a Muxus and spin the wheel. I get to make 2 2/2s to block with. So it's going to have to be a very good Muxus, I think. Now if we draw a Song of the Dryads, we can flip one of the guys into a forest and have an unblockable Chatterfang. So this has got to find many things. Pile Driver. Okay, so that doesn't look like it's enough to me. The munitions expert on this guy. So we activate this in response and get 2 2/2s. Yeah, okay, so they conceded to my horde of squirrels. I guess we hope that we can do the same sort of thing next time. Yikes, I think this matchup is going to be pretty bad though. So this is a Chalice on 1, but then doesn't really go anywhere. I think we mulligan. Okay, so this is a Chalice for 1, and we kind of have the combo here. I think we can keep this. One of these goes back. It's probably the Turn Timber. A Lackey. This is one of the things I feared would happen. So we kind of just have to hope our opponent doesn't have a good Lackey this turn. Like, they can just put a Muxus in, the game's over on the spot. But this is what happens sometimes when you play Chittersplitter in your legacy deck. You will have some not so good cards. What you got for us? Is it the Muxus? Matron. Okay, so they're going to have Muxus on the next go, but we're going to cast the Chatterfang to at least block with. Unless we have a way of making an additional mana for our Garruk. Which we might not do now if they're playing another creature. Scope Prospector. Sure. So they can hard cast Muxus next turn. If they have another land. And all we are doing is casting Chittersplitter. Sorry, Chitterfang. Which is a little bit worse than Muxus. But Muxus can miss. So, you know, there is the possibility that we're not dead. Okay. That's not good. So this is going to smash us and put a Muxus into play. Not sure what our next turn looks like to stop us from losing this game. But it's certainly not that. Okay, sure. Sometimes your meme decks don't work. Final round. So this hand would be great on the draw, on the play, but we're on the draw. Do we just hope turn 1 Trinisphere is good enough? I think we can give that a go. An island. This could mean multiple things. So I think I'm going to play out. I don't really have anything I'd like to put under it. Okay, we'll put the Spirit Guide under it. I kind of wanted to use that to maybe play around a daze. So now it's a question of, can I get this Trinisphere down, or should I just be trying to cast Chalice around a daze? I think we're just going to try the Trinisphere out. I think our opponent is more likely to be on a fetching the basic island there and not playing anything. Our opponent is more likely to be on a control deck that has Force of Wills than Dazes. Oh, it landed. Okay, that's exciting. So I play another island and nothing because they can't play spells. So we are going to play a threat, and then we're going to play a land and get ourselves a clue, and then we're going to pass the turn. So our opponent can play a spell this turn with their third land if they want to. It's another island. Not really sure what my opponent is playing now. Could be like High Tide or something. Spell Seeker. This makes me think it's High Tide. So this is an instant or sorcery. Snap. Yes, this is High Tide. I see. So Snap costs 2 mana. So what we're going to do is play a Chalice on 2. Because I don't think they're going to enjoy that very much. X is currently 1. X is currently 2. Done. So this will mean our opponent can't cast that snap they just tutored for, which is nice. So let's attack with this. Like, we can start Chittersplittering if we want to, or we can draw some clues and make our guy big. We got options here. Spellseeker. So they got another thing to try and find. What is this one going to be? High Tide. Yeah. So if they have enough High Tides, they might be able to get through a Trinisphere. It's going to be a lot, though. Garruk Relentless. I don't know if I care about that. Let's attack with this guy. If they block it, we can crack the clues at instant speed. Spellseekers is pretty cool. I haven't seen High Tide for a long time. So I guess Spellseeker makes sense as a thing you want in the deck. Okay, just going for the chump. So we don't need to crack a clue unless we want to. So I think we are on the play this, tapped. Make a clue. And then I think we're just Garruking here. Our life total doesn't really matter in this matchup, which is nice. And let's make... Oh, no, sorry, wrong one. Let's make a wolf token. Then we'll say go. So we've got a lot of clues saved up, so we can clear the blocker, draw a load of cards, and reduce our opponent's life total in a big way. Let's kill this off. And now we have the scarier Garruk. So we'll crack this and draw a card. And pump our guy. Sure, we'll sacrifice another one. Pump our guy. Correlative Growth. Play land out. So we can either draw a card here or we can play the Chatterfang. So this is currently 5, 6, 7. So if we pump this one more time, then we have a 2-turn clock here. And just go to attacks. So our opponent has to kill us on this next turn. And so they can cast, so they're casting High Tide now into our Trinisphere. So we have Time Spiral. That's a pretty good way of getting about. So we have an Endurance, which I don't know if it's going to matter, but they might have Snapcaster Mages, so we might be able to pitch 2 Spirit Guides and Endurance them. Spellseeker. Sure, what's this going to find? They might be able to win through the Trinisphere here. It's certainly possible. But we do have the Endurance that we can also use on ourselves if they brain freeze us, which they're not going to like very much. Okay, they didn't see our Endurances, but they must have suspected they're there. So our opponent... Choke is going to be good against our opponent. Well, it's going to be playable against our opponent. Where did the chokes go? Somewhere in here. Okay, so we've got some chokes. The Chittersplitter is probably going to be a little bit slow in this matchup, or in every matchup as it turns out. Just a 3-mana 3/3 is probably better than these Chittersplitters. Maybe we will just board out the Chittersplitters. And some of the Dryads on one of their islands is actually pretty funny. I might do that and try and ruin their day. So I think I'll probably board out Chariot, just curve-wise. Song of the Dryads on an island. The things we do to try and win games with this terrible deck. So we have Choke and we have Trinisphere. We will keep these. Where have these hands been all my life? So play this out. Play this out. Put Chatterfang under it since we got 2 of them, which is quite nice for us. And then we try out the Trinisphere here. Okay. If we get in a point where we can tap down our opponent's islands, then we will take it. But otherwise, I think we're casting Chatterfang this turn. I think we need to get a threat on board. If they still don't have tapped islands next turn, then we're going to start Songs of the Dryads in their islands. Okay, so they can cast a spell this turn. It could be a Spellseeker again. Merchant Scroll. A blue instant card, so that could be Snap, Hercule's Recall, you say. I see. Well, you're going to have a real bad time in the very near future, I'm afraid. Because you're getting choked. Okay, they just conceded to the choke. Excellent. Okay, that's the end of that one. Let's have a look at the deck. So we managed a 2-3 with this deck that is objectively bad because it is running these 8 cards which are borderline unplayable. So let's just move these out here. So these cards are not good enough to play, basically, in Legacy. But the rest of the deck felt alright, actually. I think if we were to replace these with like actual threats, I'm not sure what good threats you have at the 3 mana mark. Obviously, we have the Tireless Tracker there. Maybe going up a land would be good in this deck as well, because like the red decks, they have Favor the Mirror Breaker, whereas we didn't have something like that. Maybe there's a saga that makes you like a mana dork. Maybe that's good. I don't think it is good. There is also the one that makes you a guy that then grows the guy and then gives you a treasure token at the end. So maybe that one is okay. But we could be playing better threats here as well. So Esker's Chariot could be Questing Beast, for example. If you just want to play a threat that's going to clock people quickly, Questing Beast is a very powerful one. And it's also good against Planeswalkers. The Garruk Relentless felt pretty essential because this deck just doesn't have ways of removing your opponent's creatures, which is the real reason why you see prison decks, but you don't really see green prison decks necessarily. Like the red one gets Fury and Chandras and things, so you can clear the things they do manage to get into play out of the way. So we don't really have that in this deck, which is a shame. We'll just move these over here as well to make things a little bit cleaner. The Gargroff feels like a pretty good top end. Like if you're Chalicing and Trinisphering, your opponent's not going to reliably be able to remove the Gargroff and it can take the game over. The Tireless Tracker felt pretty good in those matchups. It is probably the best 3 mana thing that you can play as a stompy threat, but you probably want a little bit more land to help facilitate that, and also the slightly higher curve. The fact that we don't get to play Blood Moon is pretty bad. Like the games where we get to bring in Choke are great, but there was only like one of them today. I guess the we had it for the Death Shadow as well, but it didn't come up. But generally speaking, you kind of need one other prison piece for this deck to work, and I'm not sure what that prison piece could be. If you have any ideas, let me know. Maybe if you do want to go for like tokens, maybe it's a Smokestack. But Smokestack is not a legacy playable card in my opinion at the moment. So I'm not really sure. Like, the Endurance is fine here. It's not quite as impactful as Fury is in the red decks. But it feels like you could definitely fine tune this and get a 4-1. So like if you replace these with like good cards, then I think you're laughing. The Song of the Dryads was very good actually. We even found a use to bring in against High Tide, which was pretty cool. So I think this deck is obviously bad, but I think a good green prison deck without the Chittersplitter, Chatterfang sort of meme cards is viable. But as a content creator, I had to give it a go and see if I could squirrel stompy some people out. And we did win games off of a huge horde of squirrels a couple of times, or one time maybe. But yeah, I think I might go back to this deck at some point. I'd really like if you've got any ideas in the comments of what things I could be ramping and putting into play instead of these terrible cards. So you've basically got like 11 slots, maybe more if you want to trim on some of the other bits. So like a solid 11 slots to replace in this deck, which could make quite a big difference really. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this and enjoyed me spending my tickets on this rather than you having to do it. But yes, Chittersplitter, not a legacy card. Chitterfang, an alright legacy card, I think. I don't think it's good enough, but it's a damn sight better than Chittersplitter. So, alright, that's it for today. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my channel, that would really help me out. It doesn't cost you a penny, and it also means that you get to make sure you don't miss any of my content. And, you know, I play quite a wide variety here. I play, like, top tier decks. I play Chittersplitter. So there's a bit of something for everyone as long as you like legacy. Alright. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.